life is a difficult process. Infinitely challenging, ultimately challenging, because it's bounded by death and insanity and all these terrible things that can befall people. You need to chart a course that makes the travel worthwhile. To chart a course that makes the travel worthwhile. To chart a course that makes the travel worthwhile. And that's not happiness. It's a much more profound idea than that. It's more like adventure, I would say. It's more like the great adventure of your life. It's more like adventure. It's more like the great adventure of your life. It's more like adventure. It's more like the great adventure of your life. That's a difficult thing. It's not a tropical cute cruise with a Mai Tai in hand, although maybe now and then it could be that. But I think human beings, we're very tough and combative creatures, and we're really built for a load. You really see this hunger arising in young men for exactly a call to that kind of adventure. It's like, get the hell up, guys, get to work. There's things to be done. It's like, get the hell up, guys, get to work. There's things to be done. There's dragons to confront and things to set right.
Whoever rolls should plan that.
I believe that's the truth, and I believe that it's more powerful than fear and than suffering. And that's saying a lot, because fear and suffering are real. It's more like adventure. It's more like the great adventure of your life. It's more like adventure. It's more like the great adventure of your life. It's more like adventure. It's more like the great adventure of your life. It's more like adventure. It's more like the great adventure of your life.
Question?
What could you do to improve yourself? Well, the first question might be, why should you even bother improving yourself? And I think the answer to that is something like, so you don't suffer any more stupidly than you have to. And maybe so others don't have to. It's something like that. Like there's a real injunction at the bottom of it. It's not some casual self-help doctrine. It's that if you don't organize yourself properly, you'll pay for it. And in a big way, if you don't organize yourself properly, you'll pay for it. And so will the people around. If you don't organize yourself properly, you'll pay for it. And in a big way, if you don't organize yourself properly, you'll pay for it. And so will the people around. And you could say, well, I don't care about that, but that's actually not true. You actually do care about that, because if you're in pain, you will care about it. And so you do care about it, even if it's just that negative way, It's very rare that you can find someone who's in excruciating pain who would ever say, well, it would be no better if I was out of this. Pain is one of those things that brings the idea that it would be better if it didn't exist along with it. It's incontrovertible. You get your act together so that there isn't any more stupid pain around you than necessary. That if you don't organize yourself properly, you'll pay for it. And in a big way, that if you don't organize yourself properly, you'll pay for it. And so will the people around you. If you don't organize yourself properly, you'll pay for it. And in a big way, that if you don't organize yourself properly, you'll pay for it. And so will the people around you. Getting your act together. And the answer to that is, it's something like, look around for something that bothers you and see if you can fix it. Fix it. Fix it.
Akira.
If a person gave you body, so many strangely met on his way, you would certainly be angry. Do you feel no shame in handing over your own mind to be confused and mystified by anyone who happens to verbally attack you?
In every affair, consider what precedes and follows, and then undertake it. Otherwise, you will begin with spirit, but not having thought of the consequences. When some of them appear, you will shamefully desist. I can't get out the Olympic Games, but consider what precedes and follows, and then, if it is for your advantage, engage in the affair. You must conform to rules, submit to a diet, refrain from dainties, exercise your body, whether you choose it or not. At a stated hour, in heat or cold, you must drink no cold water, not even wine. In a word, you must give yourself up to your master, as to a physician. Then, in the combat, you may be thrown into a ditch, dislocate your arm, turn your ankle, swallow dust, be whipped, and after all this, be defeated. If a person gave your body to any stranger he met on his way, you would certainly be angry. And do you feel no shame in handing over your own mind to be confused and mystified by anyone who happens to verbally attack you? Huh? If a person gave your body to any stranger he met on his way, you would certainly be angry. And do you feel no shame in handing over your own mind to be confused and mystified by anyone who happens to verbally attack you? Huh? When you've evaluated all this, if your inclination still holds, then go to war. Otherwise, take notice, you will behave like children who sometimes play like wrestlers, sometimes gladiators who sometimes blow a trumpet and sometimes act a tragedy when they have seen and admired these shows. Thus, you two will be at one time a wrestler, at another gladiator, now philosopher, then at a racer, but with your whole soul, nothing at all. Like an ape, you mimic all you see, and one thing after another is sure to please you, but it is out of favor once it becomes familiar, for you have never entered nothing considerately, nor after having viewed the whole matter on all sides, or made any scrutiny into it rather rashly, and with a cold inclination, cold inclination. If a person gave your body to any stranger he met on his way, you would certainly be angry. And do you feel no shame in handing over your own mind to be confused and mystified by anyone who happens to verbally attack you? Huh? If a person gave your body to any stranger he met on his way, you would certainly be angry. And do you feel no shame in handing over your own mind to be confused and mystified by anyone who happens to verbally attack you.
Akira.
The Don.
It's for the heroes.
You have to be the hero of your own story. And you can do that. You have to be the hero of your own story. And you can do that. 90% of it is just showing up. Get there and start working. Like, you're not gonna feel perfect every day. Gotta be those days you push through. This is what I want you to do. Write down what you would like to fix about your life. If you're 30 pounds overweight, you wanna lose 30 pounds? Do it the right way. Write down what you eat. Exercise every day. Force yourself to do it. The brain is the general, the troops are the body, and you get up and you do it. And then you get to write it down.
You know, you're doing what you gotta do to get by, but ultimately you're not respecting yourself. I think we all have a certain amount of appreciation and respect for hero figures. We all look at the guy who never lies, always does the right thing, and fucking helps everybody out, and that's the John Wayne character, you know, that's the ultimate hero. The ultimate hero. You have to be the hero of your own story. And you can do that. You have to be the hero of your own story. And you can do that. And when you look at your own life and you don't stack up, you're a thief, you stole money from your wife's purse, and you don't want to smoke cigarettes, but you fucking have to, you can't deal with the stress and smoke. You devalue yourself. You slowly start devaluing yourself. You look at yourself and you realize that if you were judging yourself, you would judge yourself unfavorably. You can't pretend you're the hero of your story. Hero of your story. Most people get stuck in these patterns, find themselves in the person who doesn't follow through on their ideas. When I start things and I quit. No, you don't. No, you have started things and you quit, and it gives you a horrible sense of regret that's made you define yourself by that. You're not who you were a year ago. You're not who you were 5 years ago. You're not who you were last week. So you gotta regulate how much you dwell on regrets of the past. You really gotta be careful. You have to be the hero of your own story. And you can do that. You have to be the hero of your own story. You can be the hero of your own story that woke up today. You can be the hero of your own story that at 40 years of age stopped, got out of bed and said, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. And I'm gonna get myself in shape and I'm gonna eat healthy. And I'm gonna do this. Because this is me now. This is me now. I decide that this is me. And people have to realize that you are not your past. You are not all the times you fucked up. You're not all the times you were drunk. That's not you. That's not you. You are the person who's learned from a great deal of experience. This is a battle that you will fight for the rest of your life. But the key is to fight it, not to give in. Don't give in to that resistance. Fight that resistance. And in doing so, every day you do so, you have won the battle for that day. And you will continue to fight that battle. You have to be own story. And you can do that. You have to be the hero of your own story. And you can do that. You have to be the hero of your own story. And you can do that. You have to be the hero of your own story. And you can do that. Providing you benefits, providing you a healthy work environment. Why? Well, because they want people to work for them. They don't want people to realize their own dreams and escape. They want to set it up so that you stick around. Stick around in some sort of an unsatisfying world. It's up to you to see that video game problem, see that issue as it comes up on the map, and calculate your future.
We need to know who the competent people are, and we need to reward them. And even more importantly, we need to tell young people, hey, there's some hierarchies of competence out there. Like 1,000 of them. Go be a plumber, man. But be a good one, you know? Be an honest one. Because otherwise all you do is go out there and cause trouble. We don't need people to cause more trouble. We need people to solve problems. Solve problems. We need people to solve problems. Solve problems. Solve problems. We don't need people to cause more trouble. We need people to solve problems. Solve problems. Solve problems. Go be a plumber, man. Go be a plumber, man. Be a good one, you know? You know, and so you can be a tradesman and you can make a lot of money as a tradesperson. It's a bloody, reliable, honorable, forthright, productive way of making a living. And there is a hell of a lot of difference between a working man who knows what he's doing and one who doesn't. Both in terms of skill and ethics, right? And you work with someone who knows what they're doing, it's a bloody pleasure. They tell you what they're gonna do, they tell you how much it will cost, they go and do it, it works, and you pay them. Perfect. Everyone's happy. And that's what happens when you have genuine hierarchies of competence.
blown
blown me away in the last year. A large proportion of my audience has been young men, and
Akira.
I've spoken to them a lot about responsibility. People are starving for the antidote, and the antidote is truth and responsibility. Truth and responsibility. Truth and responsibility. People are starving for the antidote, and the antidote is truth and responsibility. That's the secret to a meaningful life. Without the meaningful life, all you have is suffering. What's so odd about this is that of all the things that I've spoken about, because I can see the audience and I can feel how the audience is reacting, because I'm always paying attention to all of you, I get some sense of how what I'm saying is landing. What happens is if I talk about responsibilities, everyone is silent. Silent and not moving, focusing, attentive. Pick up your responsibility. Pick up the heaviest thing you can and carry it. And the room goes quiet and everybody's eyes open, and I think, that always makes me break up. People are starving for the antidote. And the antidote is truth and responsibility. Truth and responsibility. Truth and responsibility. People are starving for the antidote. And the antidote is truth and responsibility. That's the secret to a meaningful life. Without the meaningful life, all you have is suffering. I don't know why. I don't really understand it. There's something about it that's so crucial, because we've been fed this unending diet of rights and freedoms, and there's something about that that's so pathologically wrong. People are starving for the antidote, and the antidote is truth and responsibility. That's the secret to a meaningful life, and without the meaningful life, all you have is suffering and nihilism and despair and all of that self-contempt, and that's not good, and it's necessary for men to stand up and take responsibility, and they all know that and are starving for that message. And the message is more that that's also a good thing to stand up and take responsibility, because you're cursed so much now from when you're young with this notion that your active engagement with the world is part of what is destroying and undermining the planet and adding to the tyranny of the social system. It's like, how about not so much of that? Hey, it's too soul deadening. It's anti-human right to the core. My sense instead is that if you were able to reveal the best of yourself to you in the world, that you would be an overwhelming force for good. People are starving for the antidote, and the antidote is truth and responsibility. Truth and responsibility. Truth and responsibility. People are starving for the antidote, and the antidote is truth and responsibility. That's the secret to a meaningful life. Without the meaningful life, all you have is suffering.
Start where you stand, never mind the past. The past won't help you in beginning anew, and if you've left it all behind at last, why that's enough, you're done with it. You stand where you stand, never mind the past. The past won't help you in beginning anew, and if you've left it all behind at last, why that's enough, you're done with it, you're through. This is another chapter in the book. This is another race that you have planned. Don't give the vanished days a backward look. Start where you stand, start where you stand. The world won't care about your old defeats if you can start anew and win success. The future is your time and time is fleet. Bear as much of work and strain and stress. Forget the buried woes and dead despairs. Here is a brand new trial right at hand. The future is for him who doesn't dare. Start where you stand. Start where you stand. Start where you stand. And never mind the past. The past won't help you in beginning anew. And if you've left it all behind at last, why that's enough, you're done with it. You stand where you stand. And never mind the past. The past won't help you in beginning anew. And if you've left it all behind at last, why that's enough, you're done with it. You do. Old ladies wanna hope, old translate. Today's the thing, tomorrow soon will be. Get in the fight and face it unafraid, and leave the past to ancient history. What's been has been, yesterday's dead, and by it you would neither blessed nor banned. Take courage, man, be brave and drive the hell where you stand. Start where you stand. Start where you stand. Never mind the past. The past won't help you in beginning anew. And if you left it all behind at last, why that's enough, you're done with it. You stand where you stand. Never mind the past. The past won't help you in beginning anew. And if you left it all behind at last, why that's enough, you're done with it. You do.
Clinical psychologist, and I've spent 20 hours a week for 25 years listening to people tell me about their lives. And those people were people who were just barely hanging on to the bottom of the world, up to people who were so successful you can hardly believe it. Being a clinical psychologist, if you really listen, is like being immersed in a Dostoevsky novel all the time, you know, because it's amazing what people tell you if you listen to them, because they're so peculiar. Like, they're like penguins or rhinoceroses or ostriches. They're unlikely creatures.
Well, you got to improve, right? And you might think, well, I'm a real fixer-upper and I'm really embarrassed about that because there's 50 things wrong with me, and like, look at that guy, and so now I feel all terrible because of the comparison and all of that. And first of all, it's unfair, especially by the time you're about 30. Your life has become quite idiosyncratic. Let's say your life has 8 dimensions: family, friends, intimate relationships. You're individually positioned in all those dimensions. Your life isn't like anyone else's life. So you see someone who's doing better than you, it's like you're only seeing one dimension at one slice of time. So it's not reasonable. You don't have the whole picture. And then you get down on yourself and take the spirit out of yourself, and you get bitter and resentful. There's nothing good about that. But you do need to improve. There's not as much of you as there should be. So what's the comparison? Well, that's easy. Just say, okay, well, here's my position in time and space right now. Here's my virtues and fault. I can be a little bit better tomorrow in some minor way. Well, that's the right comparison, because you are very much like you. Everything's the same about you. Everything's the same about you. And so it's the perfect comparison. You just don't have insight into the tragedy of someone else's life. You might think, well, he's rich and successful. It's like, yeah, but you just don't know. You don't know what his relationship is with his wife or his children. You know, you don't know that he's gone through 2 divorces and his daughter won't talk to him and one of his kids is schizophrenic. And the point is, you should be better than you are, but it's not because you're worse than other people. It's because you're not everything you should be. And so you got to pick the comparison right. And then that's also ennobling and instantly hopeful. There is absolutely no doubt that you can be slightly better tomorrow than you are today. There is definitely something that you can do today that will make you slightly better for the next day. Always. Okay. You're 85, you have Alzheimer's, you're done. Sometimes you're done. Most of the time you're not, and most of the time there's something within your grasp that you could put right. See, that's the fundamental issue. It's like life is tragic. It's full of suffering and it's full of malevolence. There's no doubt about that. And it's brutal. It's more brutal than you can even imagine in some ways, or willing to imagine. But there's something you could put right. And we don't know what would happen if you put everything you could right, if you put it right. And then we don't know what would happen if everyone did that. But you can be certain that it would be less tragic and less malevolent. And so, like...
You don't have anything better to do than
Akira The Don is?
Of course, he's amazing.
Well, it's that time of year again. We start to feel real happy. Why? Because we're not going to work.
Akira.
If you believe in Santa Claus and you celebrate Christmas, you're looking forward to Santa Claus coming down the chimney giving you some presents. It's a real good time of year, so in that good time of year, we start to feel real good about ourselves. So I start to feel great. So we start making promises to ourselves about, hey, I'm gonna lose some weight, I'm gonna do better in school, I'm gonna be better here, be better there. But guess what happens? The real Merry fucking Christmas happens when all of that noise is gone, it's quiet. And it's you against you. The real Merry fucking Christmas. 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 And now all those endorphins are gone. And I promise you made about getting up early and getting after it to go lose weight, study harder. Guess what? It's a lot fucking harder now. Guess what? It's a lot fucking harder now. That repetition becomes a lot harder now. So a lot of us can't do things on our own. So find somebody in your life, so when you throw that towel in, they throw that motherfucker back at you and say you're not fucking done yet. The real Merry fucking Christmas. The real Merry fucking Christmas. The real Merry fucking Christmas. Merry fucking Christmas. yourself, stay hard.
It's this fear of discomfort. People have this extreme feeling in their mind when it comes to their associations with exercise. They want to avoid discomfort. They feel like any type of exercise is just like something to be avoided. That's not for me. Fuck that. I don't want to sweat. I don't want to strain. I don't want to sweat. I don't want to strain. And a lot of times this association that they have is about the beginnings of getting in shape. It's not about once you're actually fit. Because once you're actually fit, then you look forward to it. It feels great. If I can't get a workout in, I look at my schedule and go, oh shit, I don't have any time for a workout, which means I'm not going to get that good feeling, get that good feeling. And so instead of looking at it like, oh, I've got to go grunt and sweat, I'm thinking I'm not going to feel good, I'm not going to feel relaxed, I'm not going to feel carefree, even appreciative, like my appreciation of things. And it gets enhanced greatly after exercise. I just feel better. I want to sweat, I want to strain, I want to sweat, I want to strain, I want to sweat, I want to strain, I want to sweat, I want to strain. Get that good feeling, get that good feeling, get that good feeling. I want to sweat, I want to strain, 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 I want to sweat, I want to strain. Get that good feeling, get that good feeling, get that good feeling. It feels great. Most people, their associations are to avoid anything that's uncomfortable. It's so illogical. Discomfort is your friend. It really is. Discomfort, not being happy and content with certain situations in life, they're massive, massive motivators. They're amazing at facilitating change. Yet our instinct is to avoid those and just sit on the couch and watch some fucking reality show. It's bizarre. When I get really disciplined and really consistent with my workouts, I almost feel momentum. I feel like there's push behind me, like, all right, yeah, now I'm doing sweat, I want to strain, I want to sweat, I want to strain, I want to sweat, I want to strain, I want to sweat, I want to strain. Get that good feeling, get that good feeling, get that good feeling. I want to sweat, I want to strain, 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 I want to sweat, I want to strain. Get that good feeling, get that good feeling, get that good feeling. Yeah, now I'm doing it. Yeah, now I'm doing it. I'm doing it all the time now. I'm looking forward to the next time, and it makes that resistance much weaker, and it makes my motivation and my discipline much stronger. I think a lot of it is based on just the consistency. Blowing something off is not just bad for you physically, it's also bad mentally, because then that option is now available. The option to fuck off. You did it before, and you're probably going to do it again, and you'll get mediocre results, not just in that aspect of your life, maybe in all aspects of your life. That option to fuck off, when you embrace it, that is a pathway that you might choose when it comes to dealing with conflict in your personal life, business decisions, career decisions, like an uncomfortable decision that you might be faced with, what your pathway is in life, but you don't do it. Instead, you fuck off. And that inclination to fuck off, that gathers momentum as well. The inclination to be disciplined, that comes with momentum. I think both things. You take a path. I want to sweat, I want to strain, I want to sweat, I want to strain, I want to sweat, I want to strain, I want to sweat, I want to strain. Get that good feeling, get that good feeling, get that good feeling. I want to sweat, I want to strain, 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 I want to sweat, I want to strain. Get that good feeling, get that good feeling, get that good feeling. It feels great. Take a path, or the path of the fuck off. Your body is like a race car that you can juice up yourself. Like you can add the fat tires, you can add improved suspension, you can beef up the horsepower in the engine. You can do all that yourself. Or you could just choose to have this shitty body. No one's under the illusion that you're gonna live forever, but you are enhancing the experience that you're currently involved in right now. You are alive, do experience this life, but do you experience this life optimally? Is it as enjoyable as it can be? And we all know that there's a spectrum for that enjoyability. Like we've all had times in our life where it's not not been so great. And then times in our life, everything came together like, what a fucking great day, woo! Great day, woo! Great day, woo! Great day, woo! Make more of those. Make more of those. Make more of those. You can make more of those. And then the whole thing's better. And then the whole thing's better. And I think when that whole thing is better, it affects everybody you touch, everybody that's around you, everybody you come in contact with. That in turn, I mean, it sounds so grandiose, but in turn can affect the entire race of human beings.
I believe that most human beings are only living at about 40% of their capability. The mind has a governor, like a car. If you're driving a car and the car has a governor on it, the car may say 130 miles an hour, but the governor's set for 91. Once that governor sets in, you get to 91, that car starts doing this. The car wants to go. The car wants to go, but that fucking factory said, we're not going past 91. We have a factory, a nice governor in our brain, and it's a survival mechanism. It protects us from pain and suffering. The second we feel that shit, our mind says, oh no, this isn't fun. We should back off. We should sit down, find something more comfortable. And there's something about the mind. The mind has the tactical advantage over you at all times. At all times of your life, the mind has a tactical advantage over you. Why is that? It knows what you're afraid of. It knows your insecurities. It knows your deep, dark lies. And it starts to push you away from that shit. It pushes you in a direction that is comfortable. The mind controls everything. The mind controls everything. The mind controls everything. So what I realized was that when I was growing up and I was 300 pounds and I got all fat and I got all insecure, I realized that my mind kept taking me in this direction. When things got uncomfortable for me, when I was facing my insecurities, I was facing my fears, my mind said, oh no, we have the tactical advantage. We need to get you, separate you from this feeling. Your life's all about feelings. We want the happy feeling. We don't want that feeling of this sucks. Why am I here? So you can't answer those questions, so you leave. I started realizing that if in that moment you can answer those fucked up questions and you are now in charge of your brain versus your brain ruling you, that's where all that stuff comes from. So the 40% rule is all of that. You get to 40%, your brain says, we're done. The mind controls everything. We're done. The mind controls everything. Let's roll, man. This is starting to get painful. This is uncomfortable. The mind controls everything. We're done. The mind controls everything. Let's roll, man. This is starting to get painful. This is uncomfortable. So you sit down. You have to figure out ways, and everybody's different. We all have these things about 5 steps to this and 4 steps to this. It's a lot more than that. That's all bullshit. It's a practice that you have. It's a habit. So if you know that at 40%, I'm feeling pain. At 40%, I'm feeling pain. That's where the 40% rule kicks in. Now it starts. Okay, I'm feeling pain. My mind's saying all this shit to me. It's saying, get out of here, run, flee. The fight or flight kicks in. Okay, we're done. We're not good enough. It starts telling you all these things. You start to believe it. Because the mind controls all. This is the time where you have to gain control back of your mind. And say, okay, let me see if I can go 45%. And once you start giving yourself more and more hope, and start realizing, okay, the mind starts to be, okay, what are you doing? We're supposed to be going right, and you're going left. start then controlling your mind. Start finding more in yourself, and it goes from 40% to a lot further than that. But that's the start of it though. Get to the spot where your mind is saying stop. Wherever that is, you gotta get there first, and then that's when that shit starts to work for you. You gotta control yourself in that moment. The mind controls everything. We're done. The mind controls everything. Let's roll, man. This is starting to get painful. This is uncomfortable. The mind controls everything. It's saying, get out of here. Run. The mind controls everything. Okay, we're done. We're not good enough. It starts telling you all these things. That's all bullshit.
Do you know who Akira The Don is?
Of course, he's amazing.
Be good at a few things that you can control. You can control. You can control. Be good at a few things that you can control. You can control. You can control. Be good at a few things that you can control. You can control. You can control. Find a few things that you can completely control and control the fuck out of. There's nothing better for your self-esteem than knowing that if you work hard on something, whatever it is, that you can become one of the good ones. Not the best in the world, but better than other people. But better than other people. But better than other people. And the things that you can control the most are diet, fashion choices, haircut, fitness. You can control the fuck out of those things.
You can control the fuck out of those things.
Be good at a few things that you can control. You can control. You can control. Be good at a few things that you can control. You can control. You can control. Be good at a few things that you can control. You can control. You can control. Find a few things that you can completely control and control the fuck out of. If you're not good at fashion, find somebody who is. Get some advice. Don't know how to exercise? Find somebody who can. Have them tell you how. Don't know how to eat right? Find somebody who knows. Have them tell you how. Find some things that you can completely control and control the fuck out of them. Just control the fuck out of them. Because that's where you get your self-esteem. I'm actually a really good example for this. And I'm going to say something astonishingly lacking humility. I'm a person who's good at a lot of things. A lot of things. If you made a list of things that the press has called me and asked for my expert opinion on, you'd be kind of surprised. It's across economics, business, humor, politics, persuasion. But how many things are there that you could be good at? All of the things that humans can do. It's gigantic, right? It's like millions of things that people can do, and I'm good at almost zero. Like if you took all of my skills and compared it to all the skills that anybody could have in the world, it rounds to zero. It doesn't round even to 1%. And I'm an example of somebody who has pretty high skills in a variety of fields, and it still rounds to zero. Be good at a few things that you can control. You can control. You can control. Be good at a few things that you can control. You can control. You can control. Be good at a few things that you can control. You can control. You can control. Find a few things that you can completely control and control the fuck out of it. guy, if you get your fitness and diet right, you're probably pretty good. So control the things you can control, get good at them, and remember that nobody's good at much.
We're going to go back to Boston.
Okay.
Okay, so you said that's really where things started for you. So you moved there when you were 13. First of all, like, what kind of kid were you in school?
If ADD is real, I certainly had it, and I was very, very interested in what I was interested in. I was very uninterested in people telling me what to do. Essentially couldn't wait to get out of school. But I would excel at things that I had interest in. Initially it was art. I wanted to be a comic book illustrator until I really got into martial arts. And martial arts became the focus of my life. Around 14, 15 years old, that's when I really became massively obsessed. And that was really the first thing that I ever did where I really didn't feel like a loser. Like I really felt like, oh, I actually have some talent. I actually can be exceptional. There's like something, because I grew up constantly moving, didn't really have a lot of friends. I would be new in this town. I'd get picked on. I wasn't a big kid. And there was a lot of issues with that psychologically. I didn't like being afraid of other kids. I didn't like not knowing what to do if I ran into kids. They were going to bully me and pick on me. Martial arts changed that 180 degrees. And then I became someone who I would be afraid of. I became the opposite of what I was. And then I became someone who I would be afraid of. I became the opposite of what I was. So what I was someone who was terrified of conflict, didn't know what to do. And what I became was a Taekwondo champion. I became a martial arts champion. I knew how to fight.
How did it come about?
It was very fortunate. I'd done a little bit of martial arts training. Then one day I was in Boston for a Red Sox game. And as I was walking home to the train station, I decided to go check out the Jae-Hun Kim Taekwondo Institute. It was right there. So I went up the stairs, and as I was walking up the stairs, a guy named John Lee was training. I heard this crazy sound, but it turned out to be this man kicking this bag and slamming his heel into this bag and having the chain snap and rattle and thud of his heel slamming into this leather bag. I got up there and I watched this guy work out. I couldn't believe a person could do that. I'd never seen anybody kick something so hard in real life. Anybody that had such incredible martial arts skill like this guy did, John Lee, who became a mentor of mine. That changed everything. I was there the next day. I talked to them. They gave me a brochure and a pamphlet. I was probably there every day of my life until I was 22 years old. Just completely by luck, wandered into one of the best schools in the world for Taekwondo. I just got lucky. I got really, really, really lucky. I became someone who I would be afraid of. I became the opposite of what I was. And then I became someone who I would be afraid of. I became the opposite of what I was. I had keys pretty quickly. Right away, my instructor recognized that I was pretty obsessed and I was physically pretty talented. So he had me teaching classes instead of paying. One of the best ways for someone to get good at martial arts is actually to teach. You actually refine your technique. You think about it more. I was 14 or 15 by the time I got to that school. I had my black belt by the time I was 17, and I was competing in the adult division by then. I won the state championship when I was 18, and I won it every year from then until I stopped. Luckily, with high school, kids heard about it right away. One of the kids you go to school with is flying all over the country, kicking people in the head. They just avoided me. People avoided me. Junior and senior year, I'd already become this weird kid that was obsessed with martial arts. I spent most of my life, from the time I was 15 till I was 21, training and competing. I probably fought over 100 times, 100% singular, uniquely singular, but I avoided most of the pitfalls, high school partying and all that stuff. I didn't do that because I was scared of getting hurt. I was scared if I showed up for training hungover that I'd get beat up. I was scared of anything that would take even a tiny bit away from my performance as a fighter because I was obsessed with it. I became someone who I would be afraid of. You know, I became the opposite of what I was. And then I became someone who I would be afraid of. You know, I became the opposite of what I was.
Akira.
He started clowning.
I'm the happiest man on the planet Earth. So people may take this as so many people do. We live in a very weakened society. So when they hear a throwback guy like me from back in the ancient days of Garanimals, they often think this guy is just whatever. So if you think that I'm some unhappy guy, you're wrong. Having lived the life I've lived and seen the other side, not being afraid to attack what was in front of me, has made me happy. It made me very happy. Basically, I just don't walk around with a daggone smile on my face all day. So, you know, Merry Christmas. What the dark side is we all have a cookie jar, and we all have a jar of fuck. We all have a cookie jar, and we all have a jar of fuck. We all have a cookie jar, and we all have a jar of fuck. It's a jar of fuck, man, where shit just ain't going right. And in Hell Week, what they do in Hell Week, because this is where I really went to the dark side. What they do in Hell Week is they design Hell Week to find your flaws. And they do a really good job of that. It's 130 hours of continuous training. You may get 2 hours of sleep. And they beat the shit out of you and find everything wrong with your mentality. And then they start Hell Week. And that's the beauty of it. For me, I'm not some nasty God-given guy. You know, I don't have a great bit of talent in anything. So what got me through horrible times was the dark side. My name is David Goggins. I created Goggins. Goggins is the guy that can take anything you put in front of him We all have a cookie jar, and we all have a jar of fuck. We all have a cookie jar, and we all have a jar of fuck. You wanna break my motherfucking legs? So be it. I have a way of going to a place like I did in that race, where all the pain and suffering that they put on top of me in Hell Week, I will reverse that pain and suffering, and I will take your soul. So every instructor that put me through Budge, my job, what drove me, was I wanted you to go home that night after you beat the living shit out of me, and I smiled in your face. I wanted you to feel worse than I did, and you were going home to a nice warm bed with your wife or your kids and a nice meal, and I was still out there in the grip, suffering for another 100 hours. I wanted you to think about me, knowing that I'm comfortable, being very unfucking comfortable. And I want you to think about when you went through fucking Hell Week, how uncomfortable you were and how bad you wanted to quit, knowing I'm not thinking that fucking way. So the dark side is something that I've designed. It's an evil place I can go that very few things can hurt me. We all have a cookie jar, and we all have a jar of fuck. We all have a cookie jar, and we all have a jar of fuck. I use the hurt you're trying to put on me, I flip it upside down and use it. You trying to use it for kryptonite? No, it's power pillars for me. I'm using it for strength. I just flip negative into positive, that's all it is.
One of the very great things that C.G. Jung contributed to mankind's understanding was the concept of the shadow. That everybody has a shadow, and that the main task of the psychotherapist is to do what he called to integrate the evil, to, as it were, put the devil in us in its proper function. Because you see, it's always the devil, the unacknowledged one, the outcast, the scapegoat, the bastard, the bad guy. You see, the black sheep of the family. It's always from that point, what we could call the fly in the ointment. You see, that generation comes. In other words, in the same way as in the drama, to have the play, it's necessary to introduce a villain. It's necessary to introduce a certain element of trouble. So, in the whole scheme of life, there has to be the shadow. The shadow. The bastard, the bad guy, the black sheep of the family. The shadow. Integrate the evil. Integrate the evil. The shadow. The bastard, the bad guy, the black sheep of the family. The shadow. Everybody has a shadow, because without the shadow there can't be the substance. So this is why there is a very strange association between crime and all naughty things and holiness. You see, holiness is way beyond being good. Good people aren't necessarily holy people. A holy person is one who is whole, who has, as it were, reconciled his opposites. And so there's always something slightly scary about holy people. And other people react to them in very strange ways. They can't make up their minds whether they're saints or devils. So holy people have, throughout history, always created a great deal of trouble, along with their creative results. Take Jesus, for example. Trouble that Jesus created is absolutely incalculable. Think of the Crusades, the Inquisition, the heaven only knows what's gone on in the name of Jesus. Freud's a big troublemaker, as well as a great healer, you see. It all goes together. The shadow. The bastard, the bad guy, the black sheep of the family. The shadow. Integrate the evil. Integrate the evil. The shadow. The bastard, the bad guy, the black sheep of the family. The shadow. Everybody has a shadow, because without the shadow there can't be the substance. Holy person is scary because he is like the earthquakes, or better still, he's like the ocean. See, the ocean, on a lovely sunny day, you can say, oh, isn't that gorgeous? And you can go into it and relax and float around. But boy, when the storm comes, does that thing get mad? It's terrifying. So there is in us the ocean, you see. And Jung felt that the whole point was to bring the two together by a kind of fantastic honesty, to penetrate one's own motivations to the depths.
I'm dead serious about this. It's like, sort yourself out.
Sort yourself out before you try to figure out the world. And that's the primary objective. Yep. That's your most important thing that you can do. Yep, sort yourself out.
Sort yourself out and marshal your arguments and put yourself in order so that when someone pushes you a little farther than you should go, you can say no. You can say no. When someone pushes you a little farther than you should go, you can say no. You can say no. Here's some fundamental rules about the shadow that you might think about as you move forward through your life. So a lot of times you're going to have to negotiate on your own behalf. You should be able to stand up for yourself at least as well as you would stand up for someone that you care for. The problem with the idea of being nice to other people is that it doesn't take you into account. The fundamental rule is that you should certainly include yourself in the circle of people who deserve respect and care, and that means that you have to be willing to advocate for yourself. And if you're willing to advocate for yourself and you want to do it, you have to be able to say no. You have to, because otherwise you have to say yes, and then you can't negotiate. You can say no. You can say no. When someone pushes you a little farther than you should go, you can say no. You can say no. And in order to say no, you have to have armed yourself with strategies and plans that enable you to say no. You can't be dependent. You have to be willing to stand your ground.
There's not much evidence that sorts of atrocities that characterized the Soviet Union and Nazi Germany were the result of a few extremely corrupt people at the top of the hierarchy forcing everyone into slavery and then making them do terrible things. I think that's a very weak explanation. And when you look at human capacity for destructiveness, if you don't regard yourself as one of the agents of that destructiveness, or at least one of the potential agents, then from the Union perspective at least, there's a high probability that you're part of the problem.
You can say no. You can say no. When someone pushes you a little farther than you should go, you can say no. You can say no.
If you familiarize yourself with the realm of human capability, and then you regard yourself as human, what that means is that you have to regard yourself as a creature that's capable of what human beings are capable of. And human beings are capable of a lot of things. And some of them are absolutely wonderful. I mean, there's nothing more remarkable than a human being on the planet. People can do amazing things, but the downside of that is that we can do absolutely horrible things. And it's not obvious that it's only the pathological people who do that. In fact, it's not reasonable to assume that.
You can say no. You can say no. When someone pushes you a little farther than you should go, you can say no. You can say no.
New Age thinkers tell you things like follow your bliss and you'll encounter utopia, but that isn't what the Jungians, especially Jung, said about his process of individuation at all. He said that if you follow what's meaningful and you do it honestly, it will take you somewhere you really do not want to go. And until you go there, you'll never be able to climb up higher on the other side.
Akira. About 290 years after Christ, a Roman emperor named Diocletian took over. He really grabbed the bull by the horn. He took over in a period of turmoil and severe depression. The first thing Diocletian did was call in the gold and close the banks and raise the taxes. He reduced the power of the Senate, delegated its power to a lot of little government bureaus. Do you know they even had a Transportation Act back there? Prescribing the fee required to rent one laden ass per mile, and at today's rate of exchange it would have amounted to about 1/8 cent per mile, which meant that in order to make a profit, a jackass would have to carry 5 passengers. That was simply beyond the capacity of the jackass. Diocletian put millions of people on the public payroll. When this failed to do the job, the country was still in trouble. He asked more personal powers for himself. For a brief while, incidentally, they were standby powers, but then he used them all at once. He froze wages, he froze prices, he froze jobs, he stopped profits, he dictated to the farmer what he should plant, when and how he should sell it, and for how much, and he rationed food. And what happened? The labor market closed down. Incentive was gone. Farm life became dependent on bureaucratic red tape. Exorbitant taxes cost the farmer his land. He kept for himself only a small plot on which he might grow turnips for his family. He lost the rest of it to the state. And without food and with incentive gone, city life stagnated and declined. And Rome passed into what history has recorded as the Dark Ages, lasting 1,000 years. Lasting 1,000 years. Just by turning to the left, the world has gone in circles. The world has gone in circles. The world has gone in circles. Just by turning to the left, The world has gone in circles. The world has gone in circles. The world has gone in circles. A nation would evolve from a monarchy into an oligarchy, from oligarchy to dictatorship, from dictatorship to bureaucracy, from bureaucracy to pure democracy, where finally the people would cry out from the chaos and confusion of the streets, "Oh, please, God, give us a king," and God would give them a king. And they'd have a monarchy again and start the whole silly cycle anew. Now either we will profit from the errors of their ways, or it follows as the night the day, our children are going to have to relive the dark ages all over again. All over again. Just by turning to the left, the world has gone in circles. The world has gone in circles. The world has gone in circles. Just by turning to the left, the world has gone in circles. The world has gone in circles. The world has gone in circles. All over again. All over again. The world has gone in circles. All over again. All over again. The world has gone in circles.
Akira.
The Don. It's for the heroes.
Because, I mean, I'm talking with the person who gave us the AMA, Game B, Blue Church, Jordan Hall. And part of that is this idea, which is the religion that's not a religion, and trying to come up with a post-religious faith. Because here's the idea. This is probably, in some ways, my most radical idea. I want to do what like Augustine did as the Roman Empire is falling. He laid the foundation. He laid the cultural cognitive grammar for an entirely different culture. And they stole the culture bottom up. He laid the cultural cognitive grammar for an entirely different culture. And they stole the culture bottom up. I want to help steal the culture away. Steal it away. Steal it away. I want to help steal the culture away. Steal it away. Steal it away. And do everything I can. Do everything I can. I want to help steal the culture away. Steal it away. Steal it away from the imperial system. The imperial system at some point clamped down again, but nevertheless we shifted out of antiquity. We shifted to a different world. So I want to try and do that. I want to try and create the systems of meaning, the religion that's not a religion, the ecologies of practices, the communities, the networks of communities. All of this is already happening. Really empower it, both in terms of its grammar, give it the best scientific tools for engineering the practices and the ecology of practices. I basically want to steal the culture. I want to help steal the culture away. Steal it away. Steal it away. I want to help steal the culture away. Steal it away. Steal it away. And do everything I can. Do everything I can. I want to help steal the culture away. Steal it away. Steal it away. From the people who have been abusing us for such a very long time. And I usually don't speak politically because I think the political framing is often a deep misrepresentation of the issue, at least the way in which political discourse has been sort of been ossified. It's been ossified in ways that make choice no longer really relevant. And, you know, Christianity stole the culture away from the elites of its time. Now, new elites form. They always will. But the culture changed, and it changed in an important way. That's what I'm trying to do right now. That's what I see myself doing with a lot of these other people. That's what I'm trying to do right now. That's what I see myself doing with a lot of these other people. I want to help steal the culture. Away. Steal it away. Steal it away. I want to help steal the culture. Away. Steal it away. Steal it away. And do everything I can. Do everything I can. I want to help steal the culture. Away. Steal it away. Steal it away. Trying to understand what it is to not play their game and to shift over to a totally different game, to shift the culture. It's to steal the culture. The only thing I can get from history that's been able to do that are religions. But for reasons that I've articulated, I don't want, not personally, I mean in terms of the functionality, I don't think the standard model, the axial age model of religion is going to do what we need in order to steal the culture as deeply as we need to steal it.
There is only one way to salvation, and that is to make yourself responsible for all men's sins. As soon as you make yourself responsible in all sincerity for everything and for everyone, you will see at once that this is really so, and that you are in fact to blame for everyone and for all things.
Dostoevsky, I think, said something like, every man is responsible for everything that happens to him and everything that happens to everyone else. Every man is responsible for everything that happens to him and everything that happens to everyone else. Every man is responsible for everything that happens to him and everything that happens to everyone else. Every man is responsible for everything that happens to him and everything that happens to everyone else. It's a crazy statement, right? It's a crazy statement, and he was a pretty extreme person in many, many ways. But there's a level at which that's metaphysically true. You know, because what happens is that it's failure to act often that's the most catastrophic. It's to not do the right thing when the situation presents itself. It's very specific. You know, you're constantly in situations where you could do the right thing if you were willing to take a risk that's actually of relatively moderate size. And you know that you can take the risk, and you know that you should take the risk, and you don't. Every man is responsible for everything that happens to him and everything that happens to everyone else. Every man is responsible for everything that happens to him and everything that happens to everyone else. Every man is responsible for everything that happens to him and everything that happens to everyone else. Every man is responsible for everything that happens to him and everything that happens to everyone else. Is the thing that they didn't oppose grows a little bit, and they shrink a little bit, And that starts a loop, hey? And so, and you say, well, how do you take responsibility for the world? And the answer is, well, you also have to do it with a certain degree of humility, because what do you know?
See yourself do again, and go forth from here as the hero of your own movie. As the hero of your own movie. You have to be the hero of your own story. You have to be the hero of your own story. You have to be the hero of your own story. You have to be the hero of your own story. Build momentum. Build confidence and momentum with each good decision that you make from here on out. You can do it. You can do it. Anyone can do it. Anyone can do it. We live in unique times. We live in one of the rarest times in human history where you can choose almost all of the input that comes your way. Whether it's the movies that you watch, the books you read, the podcasts you listen to, you can choose to be inspired. Do that. Do that. Do that. Do that. Do that. Be the hero. Be the hero. Be the hero of your own movie. You have to be the hero of your own story. You have to be the hero of your own story. You have to be the hero of your own story. You have to be the hero of your own story. And you can do that. You have to be the hero of your own story. And you can do that.
And you can do that.
Before been done to push the envelope of creativity and language. And what's really important is, I call it the felt presence of direct experience, which is a fancy term which just simply means we have to stop consuming our culture. We have to stop consuming our culture. We have to create culture. Don't watch TV. Don't read magazines. Don't even listen to NPR. Create your own road show. The nexus of space and time, where you are now, is the most immediate sector of your universe. And if you're worrying about Michael Jackson or Bill Clinton or somebody else, then you are disempowered. You're giving it all away to icons which are maintained by an electronic media, so that you want to dress like X or have lips like Y. This is shit-brained, this kind of thinking. That is all cultural diversion. And what is real is you and your friends and your association, your highs, your orgasms, your hopes, your plans, your fears. And we're told, no, we're unimportant. We're peripheral. Get a degree, get a job, get a this, get a that, and then you're a player. You don't even want to play in that game. You want to reclaim your mind and get it out of the hands of the cultural engineers who want to turn you into a half-baked moron, consuming all this trash that's being manufactured out of the bones of a dying world. Where is that at? Where is that at? Where is that at? Catalyst to say what has never been said, to see what has never been seen, to draw, paint, sing, sculpt, dance, and act what has never before been done, to say what has never been said, to see what has never been seen, to draw, paint, sing, sculpt, dance, and act what has never before been done. What has never been said, to see what has never been seen, draw, paint, sing, sculpt, dance, and act what has never before been done, to say what has never been said, to see what has never been seen, draw, paint, sing, sculpt, dance, and act what has never before been done. Reclaim your mind.
You once said that if you were growing up in this generation that you would have a field day because you would take their souls. What did you mean by that?
The younger generation quits. Not everybody. So I gotta put it, people get their butt hurt. So not everybody. Most of this generation quits the second they get talked to. It's so easy to be great nowadays. most people are weak. This is a softened generation. So if you have any mental toughness, any ability, if you have any fraction of self-discipline, the ability to not want to do it, but still do it. And I hate to run. And what makes me so crazy, people go, well, why do you run if you hate it? What are you talking about? I don't want to take showers and eat either. I hate that too. That's life, man. It wasn't until I changed that mentality that I became somebody. I hated going to school, so guess what? I was dumb as shit. 1 + 1 is 2. But if you can get through to doing things that you hate to do, on the other side is greatness. 1 + 1 is 2. But if you can get through to doing things that you hate to do, on the other side is greatness. On the other side is greatness. 1 + 1 is 2. But if you can get through to doing things that you hate to do, on the other side is greatness. On the other side is greatness. That's what people understand. By me running, I am callous in my mind. I'm not training for a race. I'm training for life. I'm training for the time when I get that 2 o'clock in the morning call that my mom is dead or something happens tragic in life. I don't fall apart. I'm training my mind and my body and my spirit so it's all one, so I can handle what life is gonna throw at me. Because the life I've lived throws a whole bunch at you. And if you're not physically and mentally prepared for that, you're just gonna crumble. 1 + 1 is 2. But if you can get through to doing things that you hate to do, on the other side is greatness. On the other side is greatness. 1 + 1 is 2. But if you can get through to doing things that you hate to do, on the other side is greatness. On the other side is greatness.
Everybody's got these stupid barriers they put in their own head. You gotta resist those goddamn things, because they don't do you any good, and they certainly define the potential for your future in a negative way. It's not self-serving, and it's not even real.
But this idea that there's no way to get past the starting block today is just ludicrous. It's crazy. And it's just this poor thinking. And people that are trapped in bad situations, one of the problems is you feel like this is your future. You feel like you're fucked. You can't get out of that. There's no hope. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. There's no rainbow. And if you feel like that, that alone can be incredibly defining and limiting. But if you look at yourself objectively and say, okay, I kind of am fucked here. I'm in credit card debt. I'm working in a shitty job. I don't like what I'm doing, but I have some ideas. I need to feed those fucking ideas. I need to feed them and water them. I need to set aside a certain amount of time every day to just try to make those things happen every day. To just try to make those things happen every day. To just try to make those things happen every day. You can do that. Do shit that's difficult every day. Every day. Do shit that's difficult every day. You can do that. Do shit that's difficult every day. Every day. Do shit that's difficult. It's very important to struggle. You look at someone who's doing really well, like very famous and successful. All you see is him now, flying around private jets, wearing a new pair of sneakers every day, driving around in Bentleys. You just see that. You don't see him being a young kid in Philadelphia going to open mic nights. There's a progression that you're not witness to. You don't see it. And that takes place in everything. It takes place in office, in comedians and musicians, There is a starting point, and with time and focus, and as long as you reevaluate and reassess and constantly, objectively look at what you're doing and then pursue it with passion and focus, you get better at things. There's always going to be people that are luckier than you. Some of it is luck, and some of it is courage. Some of it is putting your ass out there. Some of it is trying things. One of the things that I always like to tell people that I think you should do is do shit that's difficult. It's very important to struggle. Do shit that's difficult. Every day. Do shit that's difficult. Every day. You can do that. Do shit that's difficult. Every day. Do shit that's difficult. It's very important to struggle. Failure teaches you things that you don't learn from success. I think failure gives you an opportunity for self-examination. It also gives you a feeling that is very uncomfortable. And that very uncomfortable feeling helps you grow. And don't look at these failures as proof that you suck. Look at them as opportunities for growth. And don't look at these failures as proof that you suck. Look at them as opportunities to be motivated to do better. Do shit that's difficult. Every day. Do shit that's difficult. Every day. You can do that. Do shit that's difficult. Every day. Do shit that's difficult. It's very important to struggle. Do shit that's difficult. Every day. Do shit that's difficult. Every day. You can do that. Do shit that's difficult. Every day. Do shit that's difficult. It's very important to struggle. Struggle. You don't get to know yourself without struggle. You don't get to know your boundaries unless you push them. You don't get to know who you are really unless you're tested.
Akira.
The Don. He's got clout.
How do I deal with setbacks, failures, delays, defeat, or other disasters?
I actually have a fairly simple way of dealing with these situations. It is actually one word to deal with all those situations. And that is good. And this is actually something that one of my guys that worked for me pointed out to me. He would call me up or pull me aside with some major problem, some issue that was going on. And he'd say, "Boss, we got this and that, the other thing." And I'd look at him and I'd say, "Good." One day he was telling me about some issue that he was having. He said, "I already know what you're gonna say." And I said, "Well, what am I gonna say?" He said, "You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. 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 You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. Good." So that's what you always say. When something is wrong and going bad, you always just look at me and say, "Good. Good." And I said, "Well, yeah." And I mean it. And that is how I feel. When things are going bad, there's going to be some good that's going to come from it. Oh, mission got canceled? Good. We can focus on another one. Didn't get the new high-speed gear we wanted? Good. We can keep it simple. more of the company. Didn't get the job you wanted. Good. You can get more experience and build a better resume. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. 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 You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. Good. Got injured. Got injured. Sprained my ankle. Good. Needed a break from training. Got tapped out. Good. It's better to tap in training than to tap out on the street. Got beat. Good. You learned. Unexpected problems. Good. We have the opportunity to figure out a solution. And that's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. When things are going bad, don't get all bummed out, don't get startled, don't get frustrated. No. You just look at the issue and you say, good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. 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 You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. Good. I don't mean to say something that's all cliche. I don't mean to sound like Mr. Positive. Find the positive. But do that. Do that. Focus on the good. Focus on the good. Take that issue, take that problem, take that issue, take that problem, and make it something good. Make it something good. And bring that attitude to your team. Do. You go forward. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. 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 You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. Good. And lastly, like to close this out, if you can say the word good, guess what? It means you're still alive. It means you're still breathing. And if you're still breathing, well then hell, you still got some fight left in you. So get up, dust off, reload, recalibrate, re-engage, go out on the attack. And that right there is about as good as it gets.
I think a lot of what happiness is a management issue. You could be in a shit state of mind right now, but you can make some decisions to adjust that. And over the next couple hours, you'll get to a much better place. And these constant management decisions, they waver in and out of your life on a daily basis. Like this idea that you could have a good mindset and then all of a sudden you'll be happy. But that's horseshit. It's like the tide. It comes in and it comes out. There's gonna be days where you're just not feeling so good physically. That's going to affect the way your happiness level is. It's never static. It's never exactly the same. Me? I'm happy. Happy as fuck is what I would say. Happy. Happy as fuck is what I would say. It's like hunger. It goes in and out. It's always there. This is something I've cultivated for a long time and avoided things that make me unhappy and figured out what those things are and been very rigid about eliminating them from my life. There's a lot of cynicism in these days about inspiration, about motivation, because there's a lot of fake shit. I see a million of these inspirational quote pages run by people that are probably depressed. You know, you see a lot of people that are talking about how to get ahead in life, but they're not really doing anything themselves. So there's a lot of cynicism involved in that. But there's also sincerity in it. If you just look at it with a pure heart and a pure mind, you can get a lot of energy out of that. And when you're around happy, inspirational people that are successful, it makes you feel better. And you get inspired. And if you act on that inspiration, your life will be more fulfilled. And it's not just inspirational in terms of financial success, but in terms of doing difficult things. I'm happy. Happy as fuck, is what I would say. I'm happy. Happy as fuck, is what I would say. And I think that there's a lot of people out there that think somehow or another you're going to get to some place where you're living in silk sheets and you're getting your toes done, someone's dropping grapes into your mouth. I don't want that. That guy's not going to be happy. He's going to be bored. An hour into the grape, get those fucking grapes away from me. Stop painting my toes. What am I doing in this bed? I got to do something. The human organism, the animal that we are, needs constant stimulation because it evolved trying to find food and escape enemies. And this is the great joy that you have in taking care of your children. You can protect your children from the elements and the enemies. And it's also the great sadness that you see in losers. When I see a loser, I see some guy who's 43 years old, who lives in his parents' basement, and he fucking hates the world. I'm like, that was a baby that somebody just gave shitty nutrients to, food or in thoughts and ideas and examples. And this kid developed these horrible, self-defeating patterns of behavior that have led them to this point where they're this person with no future and no idea of how to get out of this rut and probably never will escape it. And might just wind up sucking on a gun. I'm happy. I'm happy as fuck, is what I would say. Is what I would say. This is the world that we live in today, and I think part of that world is because we have been fed this line of horseshit that you're supposed to seek comfort. And I don't think you are. I think you're supposed to seek lessons, and you're supposed to seek difficult tasks. Because if I just think, well, tomorrow I'm just gonna coast and eat Twinkies and watch TV. Oh, hello, sadness, my old friend. Hello, depression. Because when you're not doing anything, you feel like shit. And that's just a part of being a human being. And we can pretend that we're something other than what we really are. And we can pretend, nah, me, man, I'm just cool, just chilling, doing nothing. Bullshit. You're a fucking human. You evolved from the fucking hundreds of thousands of years of hunters and gatherers and people that were struggling. Human reward systems are carved deeply into your DNA. And if you don't respect that, if you don't respect the mechanism of happiness and fulfillment and what you really need to do in order to feel satisfied in life, camaraderie, family, struggle, learning are imperative. They're all a giant part of being a person. I'm happy. I'm happy as fuck, is what I would say. I'm happy. I'm happy as fuck, is what I would say. I'm pretty fucking happy. Fucking happy. I'm pretty fucking happy.
I've been free to do whatever I want, to make the shows I want, anywhere I want, with whom I want, in any style I want. So at first I don't know any other way, and by now I won't have it any other way. Life is good. Why settle for less? To experience, be willing to try new things, don't have a rigid plan, accept random acts of hospitality without judgment or fear. Don't be afraid to wander, don't be afraid to eat a bad meal. You know, if you don't risk the bad meal, you'll never get the magical one. But I think most important, be humble. Be grateful. 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 Before I started traveling, I thought that the human race as a whole would turn on itself at any moment. You know, venal, petty, cruel, arbitrary, and it's true that all of those things exist in this world, but I meet mostly pretty nice people doing the best they can, often under very, very difficult conditions. I met a lot of very nice people who've done very, very bad things that conflict with my deeply held conceptions of justice and sexual equality or acceptable practice or religious views. There are a lot of gray areas in travel. But I think that on balance, the world is filled with people doing the best they can, you know? Best they can, you know? Be humble. Be grateful. 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 I've been fired many times in my cooking career. I was not a particularly good chef. I had a lot of problems at various points in my career with narcotics. You know, I accepted failure as a chef because I was at various times a bad chef, or even a bad person. These days, if I fail, it's because I tried to do something and did not succeed, or I just was not able to do what I hoped to do or wanted to do. But I would much rather that. I would much rather fail gloriously than not try. Or I'm not interested in telling stories with competence. I'm looking to tell them with some style and originality and some creativity.
Sometimes life is like this dark tunnel. You can't always see the light at the end of the tunnel, but if you just keep moving, you will come to a better place.
Akira.
Just keep moving. You will come to a better place. Just keep moving. You will come to a better place. It is important to draw wisdom from
from many different places. If we take it from only one place, it becomes rigid and stale. Understanding others, the other elements, and the other nation will help you become whole.
It is usually best to admit mistakes when they occur, and to seek to restore honor.
Perfection and power are overrated. I think you are very wise to choose happiness and love.
Sometimes life is like this dark tunnel. You can't always see the light at the end of the tunnel, but if you just keep moving, you will come to a better place. Just keep moving. You will come to a better place. Just keep moving. You will come to a better place.
People see me and think I'm weak. They want to take care of me. But I can take care of myself by myself.
You sound like my nephew, always thinking you need to do things on your own without anyone's support. There is nothing wrong with letting people who love you help you. There is nothing wrong with letting people who love you help you.
Sometimes life is like this dark tunnel. You can't always see the light at the end of the tunnel, but if you just keep moving, you will come to a better place. Just keep moving. You will come to a better place. Just keep moving. You will come to a better place.
Every generation that came before, the boys would have to go and fight in a war. Their mothers wondering what they were fighting for, and praying they'd make it. My grandma was born in 1924, eldest of 13, near I lasted them all. I think of all throughout her life that she saw, and I say we make it. We're all gonna make it, and don't you mistake it. My soul, you can't take it. This road, you can't fake it. We're all gonna make it. My old man came up in the 70s. He used to walk around with his Bowie LPs. His love of music he then passed on to me, and now I make it. Every generation fancies that it's gonna be the one to face the apocalypse. We've been through so much and yet still we persist. I know we gon' make it. We're all gonna make it. Now don't you mistake it. My soul, you can't take it. This road, you can't fake it. We're all gonna make it. on this world, we had no chance to decline. I know what we lost and we gained at the same time. I'm so grateful to be the head of a line that winds back through the ages to the dawn of time. Every woman and man that fought, lived, loved and died is here with me. They're all on our side and we're all gonna make it. Now don't you mistake it. My soul, you can take it. This flow, you can fake it. We're all gonna make it. We're all gonna make it. Now don't you mistake it. My soul, you can take it. This flow, you can fake it. We're all gonna make it.
Akira.
He's got clout.
If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. One heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long